Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and today's video I thought I would do a review of the Golden Tarot of Marseille. Now, truth be told, I've had this deck for several years, and I do have a video comparing this one with a non-blingy Burdel by, I believe, Lo Scarabeo, as well as a Burdel from Yves Renaud, which is a facsimile version of the Burdel. So I do have a video with all the Burdels that I have. And so I'll put that link in the description. But today I'm just going to show off the Golden Tarot of Marseille because I never did a video of it by itself. Now, the reason I'm doing it today is because yesterday, although you wouldn't have seen it yesterday because I haven't released it, I did a video which turned into something I didn't expect, an extremely personal account of an event that occurred in my life that was sort of relevant to having done a video recently on the Empress and having female power and just celebrating, being a woman. But it was so personal. I felt like I had to show it to my children before I would release it to the world. And I'm waiting for them to watch it. And even after they watch it, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to release it unless I do something like do it for members only. If I ever do members, if I ever, go that route on this channel, it would be reserved for people who really support me and not just people who are trolls or haters, because there are hecklers. But at any rate, until I do that, I use that deck in this deck in that video that I'm referencing. But today I just thought, this deck makes me happy. It kind of pulls me out of the doldrums sometimes, and it's just a fun, blingy tarot deck that was never intended to be blingy. Anyway, too much talking. I'll flip the camera. So the box is just a regular Lo Scarabeo tuck. It's under $30. I bought it for $30 when I bought it. I don't know when, but I've since seen it on Amazon for less than this. So you can still get it for less. And it's an affordable deck. And if, for those people who ever, ask me, I'm not sure if I want to stick with learning Tarot of Marseille, but I'm interested in your class or whatever, and what decks should you recommend? This would be one that I would recommend because, like I said, it's under $30 and it's fun. So you see what I'm talking about, the gold leaf on every single card, not just the Triumph cards, but every card. And it's held up. I've had it a couple of years. I use it on the regular. I mean, not every day, but I use it enough. There, the backs are stars. And there's texture in the gold. So it almost reminds me of like the Visconti Sforza decks that had like the pin marks, in the gold leaf and the silver leaf. So you can feel it. Now, as I mentioned, this is more or less a rendition of the Claude Burdel tarot deck from 1751. No Marseille deck had gold leaf that we're aware of, but this one does, and it's just, I think, for fun. It is a Swiss tarot deck. It's not as abstract as many of the French decks, so there seems to be greater clarity. Well, of course, this is a modern rendition too, so to really see how the original, the facsimile deck, look at the video that I'm putting down below, and it will compare this one with a non-blingy mass-produced Burdel, and then a Burdel by Yves Renaud, which would really be the facsimile. I mean, I would imagine that some folks who are totally into, I can't speak for everyone, but I would imagine there is a population of people who would see this and, really poo-poo it as, tacky or, not in the true spirit of TDM because of the gold leaf. But, sometimes you just need something a little different. Sometimes you just need a little something to lift your spirits. And this deck does that for me. It combines the best of both worlds. It combines, for me, it combines the bling of those early Visconti decks or those Estensi decks or Charles VI deck, where there's a little bit of flash, with Marseille, which is a fun system to read, a fun style to read for me, So it kind of combines the two aesthetically for me. I've never really been terribly attracted to straight up TDM. I always prefer, what the Germans had, versions, or the Swiss, and definitely the Italian pip styles, But isn't this lovely? He's wearing ermine. Not even the king is wearing ermine. And look at this suit. I mean, this suit is just so celebratory, a celebration of a partnership or a bond, a celebrated bond. It's just a lovely suit. And the Queens does the same thing for me of this deck. Here's my boyfriend. By 1751, Switzerland rather, excuse me, we again see, the reference to, I don't know, perhaps a throne and the overhang of the canopy of the throne. Except here, we lose the sense that it's a chair back, unless this blue line extends down behind her, which could be what this thing was supposed to have been and was somehow lost in translation. I don't know. But I've spoken many times on the topic of the window versus the overhang of a canopy from a throne. But I think this is a very fun deck, and I hope it has more admirers than detractors. I'll find out in the comments. We see this peculiar configuration frequently, I think, in the Germanic decks. So this was copied from some source and repeated. You hear my cuckoo clock? My husband brought it back to me from Germany when he went earlier this year. Oh, now look at this Four of Coins. Isn't that fun? That just says celebrate life to me. You know, the Four of Coins and in other decks, I wouldn't necessarily interpret it that way, but I interpret the deck, right? So when there are changes or differences between decks, and if something in a particular deck catches my eye that I wouldn't notice, or even maybe it wouldn't be present in another deck of the same card, I go with it, you know. And this card makes me happy. This card makes me think of New Year's Eve, where everybody's blowing horns and there's confetti throwing in the air. And I've never been to a party like that, but I would love to. So there we have it. I hope you enjoyed this brief video on the Blingy Claude Burdel Tarot by Lo Scarabeo, 1751. I should have asked this in the beginning, but if you enjoyed my video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps me out. Thank you. Bye.